informing. So let me start again at 7:30 p.m. on July 22nd, 2024. This is a meeting of the Cotuit Elementary School Ad Hoc Subcommittee. If we can do a roll call, this is Mark Lynch.
Carol Zace.
Stephen O'Connor.
John Havel.
And I see Patrick as well. Patrick, you're muted, but we see you there. Jamie told me that she was not going to be able to join us tonight. Is Patty here? Yes, she's muted as well. But
No, she's unmuted.
I'm unmuted now.
Great.
I just
Okay.
can't get my audio, my video, sorry, to work, but that's fine.
We know what you look like.
Yes, you do.
Okay. We typically at these meetings have a public comment section to begin. So let's do that. Lisa, let me know if anyone is raising their hand.
I see no raised hand and no chat.
Okay, great. Let's move on to meeting minutes then. Has everyone been able to look at my revised meeting minutes for the July 15th meeting?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve those revised meeting minutes?
So moved.
And second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Terrific. Has everyone had a chance to look at the July 22nd, 2024 meeting minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Any necessary corrections?
Nope.
Nope.
Can I have a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
I move to approve the minutes of July 20.
15.
Sorry,
July
15.
Yeah, I think I misspoke.
You did, Mark.
So we, the revised meeting minutes were the July 8th, 2024 meeting minutes. Let's make sure we get this right. Can I have a motion to approve those meeting minutes, July 8th, 2024?
So moved.
And second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And I think the record is sufficiently clear that we have also approved the July 15th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Correct.
So let's go on to new business, which is excitingly the document that we got from Patty, which is a draft of what we hope will be our final, eventually, our final report to the Prudential Committee. Has everyone gotten a copy of that?
Yes.
Lisa, if I forward, it just occurred to me, if I forward you a copy of that, can you put it on the screen? Is Lisa there? Okay.
I think I can share it, Mark. I can try.
I think that would be easier than all of us sharing it, or that is looking at it individually.
All right.
If you don't have video, can you do that?
I don't know. We're going to find out. All right. Let me leave that up there.
I think it should be noted that Stephen made some suggested corrections to it.
Yeah, I shared it with Stephen ahead of time, and all right, and he made some lovely host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Yeah, Lisa's going to have to give you permission to share, probably.
I'm looking at
I'm
your,
looking at it.
By the way, this is Lisa. I was sharing it, but I was muted, so you didn't hear my discourse. I think you should, from the previous meeting, I'm dealing with all kinds of Zoom things about recording the previous meeting and uploading it. So sorry for not getting that. I think you should see it on the screen now, correct?
Correct.
I don't
Yes.
think this is the right one, though.
It's the PowerPoint.
That's the only one I received.
Aren't we looking at
Okay.
the most recent RFP recommendations?
We would, I think I shared them with everybody, but I can email them to Lisa right now.
Oh, email's not open. So if you want to share it
Okay.
yourself, that's fine.
Can you give
I
me
will-
permission to share?
Yeah, let me see. I just said multiple could do that. Typically what I would do. Okay, all participants are currently allowed to share.
All right. And
Take down yours, Lisa?
Mr. Chair, actually, while it's up, can I just run
Whoop.
through it?
Sorry.
yeah,
All right, now I have to get that back up. Hold on. All
I know. Thank you.
right, just a minute. Okay, this one. All right, how's that?
Perfect.
Good.
I'm gonna have to ask you, Lisa, to scroll through, I think, but
Sure.
so the next slide.
Yeah, let me just get that done.
Sure. I just thought it'd be useful for anybody watching to have a quick, like, what is a request for proposals? So it basically announces the study project, describes it, it sets a scope of work, and it solicits bids from experts. So it's both about the substance of the study and the process of the study. And as part of that, it establishes the evaluation criteria for how the winning bidder is chosen, which turns out to be really important when you just have paper bids in front of you and you want to make the right decision. Next, please. So the process is the Prudential Committee will release the RFP. A consultant will be selected and they'll complete the study and present the findings to the public. The way we envision this, there would then be village residents discussing the study findings and forming their own opinions, and then a May 2025 district meeting to determine the disposal of the asset. And next, please. The scenarios generally that this ad hoc committee has come up with include full or partial building reuse, demolition, and grounds options like open space and recreation, whether that be passive or active. And next, please. And then next steps, draft the RFP for our committee to draft the RFP and present our recommendations to the Prudential Committee. The contract gets awarded, the study gets completed, and the findings get presented. And then interested citizens have committed to conducting public engagement and finding funding for the chosen option. And then, as we've discussed back in May 2025, we'll have a vote. And one more, please, Lisa. Thank you. And I just threw this on for ease of discussion in case we want it as a reference for both ourselves, since we're meeting remotely, as well as for the anybody listening in from the public remotely, so they'll know what on earth we're talking about. So that is that. And if we could close that out, then Lisa, if you would. All right. So now I will try and share the draft. Oh, good Lord. All right.
Patty, while I'm looking for that, let me just say, this is my first request for proposal, so that process looks like what I understand it to be, but I'm not 100% certain. So with that small caveat, thank you for that. It was helpful.
Sure. I'm happy to do that. It's confusing unless you've been through it a few times. All right. Well, I've got the scope of work up. If I don't know if you can see it.
No.
All right. Yeah, you guys have. I'm a Luddite. I'm not a
Patty,
tech person.
I can probably help you out here. Let me see. We've got
Okay.
yeah, let me just find the meeting here. Hold on. I'll open
I'll
it up.
take all the help I can get, Lisa.
Okay, okay, so I think I can do this here. And now that it's opened, I will attempt to share it for you. It's still opening. Okay. All right, let me try to share the screen. And that is, name of this. Is
It'd
this
be
it?
240722 RFP 5-pager.
Okay, I think I've got it. Here you go.
There it is.
All right,
That's it. All right, Mark, I don't know how you want to go through this.
Well, I'm open to suggestion. My initial thought was simply to start with the scope of work to make sure that it comports with our prior understanding of what we refer to them as option 1 and option 2, et cetera. But if we just all take a close look at this and make sure that it comports with those options.
So
All right, if I
have
might
a
suggest, I
correction.
could
I have a
walk through
correction
the,
before you start.
We're
yeah.
not in open comment.
we're not, yeah.
I still have a correction because it's incorrect information. It says demolish only 1970 modular section retaining the option of building a new square footage. Demolish 1970 modular addition toilet CF. That second number C was part of the original building. That was where the nurse was, the nursery school, the kindergarten, and the special needs students were in 11 and 12. So that was not part of the 1970 addition.
No,
There's a
yeah.
comment, there's a comma after addition.
Yeah, we're not saying it is, Fran.
Well, then, it's not a module.
It
was
It
part of
doesn't
the
say it
original
is.
building.
It's not what
It
it
doesn't,
says.
Okay,
Okay, let's just go through this.
Does it help to hear Stephen's edits or input?
Yeah, if they relate, let's start with task 1. And if anyone, and if Stephen has comments, let's hear them.
so not to put him on the spot, I could tell you for task 1, his change was, I had engineering, architectural, and landscape architecture analysis, and he struck landscape architecture and put in environmental. So I made that change.
Okay.
And then in task 1, in the paragraph under F, I had written more specific, it's the indoor outdoor option that we had discussed at our last meeting. I had written more kind of specifically about, maybe connecting the kitchen to the parking area and having greenhouse. So it was suggested we might want to pull that back and make it more general. So I deleted some of the language I had in there in that case.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. You had a proposed change to include kind of a ability to serve food outdoors. You've taken that away.
Right, and I'm happy to put it back in. I think this group should talk about it. I like the suggestion of John's of, interior space with access to a greenhouse, for example.
My thought is this is our one and only chance. So
Yep.
if you want to find out how much that costs, you should ask for it.
Okay, I tend to agree. But I'm open.
I think that Stephen's comment had to do with retail space
Yep.
there.
When you,
And I wasn't.
what number are we talking about?
This is the paragraph below F that I just discussed, where we talked about the indoor-outdoor space. I think I'm characterizing your comments, Stephen. Sorry.
Will we see
I
it,
think,
what you're talking about?
oh yeah, we need to,
What page?
Thank you, right there. Keep going.
so right there.
Stop. Thank you, Lisa.
So for the above scenarios, as appropriate, recommend options to link the building interior and the exterior. We could add additional language that says, for example, creating a window/serving counter between the kitchen and the exterior, and or linking one or a classroom, for example, with greenhouse space. And I think it's fair to put that in there if we want to get a quote back.
I think that's right. Where would that go? Is this under one of our options? Lisa?
No,
if
it
you
just goes right under what I just read. For the above scenarios, as appropriate, recommend options to link the building interior with the exterior. And then you add another sentence right there that says, no,
Back up, Lisa. There it is, right there.
after the word exterior, from the sentence I just read.
Yeah,
Are you with me? Yep.
yeah.
And you add another sentence right there after the period, exterior period, that says, for example, and then you give the kitchen and the greenhouse examples.
Okay. Can we scroll up? And let me just say, we probably shouldn't get too much into the fly specking of this, in that they're all going to be recommendations for the Prudential Committee. We just want to articulate your views clearly. So let's just do the A through F and make sure that we're all in agreement that these are the options we talked about. And let's just read through them at this point and sing out if you see something.
Are you going to read them, Mark?
I was just having thought people could read them to themselves.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted to read it into the record.
And I do note that task 1 is footnoted. So my intention, because it's refers to different rooms specifically, as called out in the Habib floor plan, that the Habib floor plan would be appended to the RFP, so that these scenarios are very clear to the responding firms.
That makes sense.
Why wouldn't you read the whole, this is Pat Lintel, why wouldn't you read it into the record?
Because we have the written copy that we can attach as an attachment to the meeting minutes.
And now that I think about it, this is being video recorded, so we have it recorded there.
So let's just take a few minutes then and read A through F to ourselves and make sure it comports with what we've discussed previously. Okay, I'm finished.
I read it before the meeting.
Yeah, me too, but I want to make sure we get this
I'm
right.
I'm in agreement with what Patty has written here.
Any other comments on A through F? Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, so the next, and that's good if you stop right there, please, Lisa. All right. All right, so the sentence that begins, review prior analyses and utilize as appropriate based on professional judgment, attribute prior analyses where used. So trying not to reinvent the wheel, we're trying to rely on what's been done in the past to the extent an architecture engineer can use their professional judgment to say, yeah, I don't need to redo that. I only need to update it, for example. That will save us money and get this done more efficiently. The next paragraph, is a general kind of a catch-all. Oh, wait.
Whoop.
There you go. Assess the state of the CES relative to applicable codes. And then because it was impossible to put like absolutely every detail about that, I refer now to an Appendix A, which if we go to the back of the document, this is the discussion, the very last page, Lisa, please.
I'm working on it.
I know. So this is what we began discussing in our last meeting. Like, what exactly are we asking? Oh, and traffic's not in here. Shoot. Traffic and water use. I will add those. So this is from the Habib study, this list of engineering and environmental and architectural analyses. So I just cribbed it from there. I'm sure it could be, it could use some additional thought, but we need to add traffic, Appendix A, and water and wastewater generation, which I will do. Just again, as a placeholder, but I don't know if you want to, I assume you want to like think through those, not in this meeting and come back, but it's up to you, Mark, how you want to.
I think that's right. I mean, I did look, for example, can you scroll up a little bit in mechanic? No, keep going. I'm sorry, then scroll down.
I know it's hard. It's like,
Just keep scrolling down.
there it is, mechanical.
Yeah, fuel oil tank has been removed. Boilers,
Right. Yeah.
boilers, heating plant. They would not recommend a boiler or heating plant, but
Let's hope not.
let's just call it heating, air conditioning.
Yeah.
You can delete
Okay.
oil tank. But
And
as others have comments along those lines, I really think that this is, probably like a nice start, but the architects are gonna tell us what we need to look at, presumably.
Yep. And I honestly, this is not my bailiwick, this part. But since we had begun to discuss it at our last meeting, I figured I'd just put in what the Habib study did.
So if people have additions, either sing out now or at our next meeting. Okay. You can go, keep going, Patty. You're doing great.
All right. So we're going back up to where we left off. Okay. All right. So now we're at task 1, deliverables. So we've laid out the scenarios, and again, thanks to Stephen for helping me out with this section a bit. But evaluate the feasibility of redevelopment options based on the structural integrity, load-bearing wall and main utility locations, and develop schematic drawings of potential layout configurations. I had a lot more probably unnecessary detail in there that Stephen helped me clear out. And then develop cost estimates for each scenario. So we're like, look at what needs to be done and tell us what we need to do to make code and give us a range of costs, as well as giving us drawings, schematics of what these might look like. I think that's that.
Did we lose you, Patty?
No, I'm still here. So we can keep going. Task 2. So use analysis. This one has probably generated the most discussion amongst this committee. So this is my stab at this. Analyze and project the impacts of the following potential uses, including, and then we get these general use categories: office, meeting space, museum, etc. And this is where the measured impact shall include, I had water use, wastewater generation, and traffic impacts that I think needs to make it into that Appendix A. But so this is just I had mentioned when we discussed this before about trying to match up the physical scenarios with the broad use categories and then the impact. So this is how my brain put that together. So on the left, you have a scenario. So, and all of them would be listed ultimately. And then for each scenario, all the uses that are appropriate. And then the consultants would go through and ID impacts basically. So traffic might be, you could do peak hour trips. So you might just give a letter grade for that. There's different ways to approach it. It'll be interesting to see what they come in with. And then I had, oh, go ahead.
Is the group okay with this description of what it could potentially be used for?
It's a good question.
I don't think you really know what the usage will be until you go out and get more information from the potential users.
But I think this is a general,
It's a general description.
these are pretty broad description uses. So
Mhm.
a lot of things could fit within one or more of these.
Yeah,
The-
I agree.
Yeah, the only one I don't see on there is housing, but I don't think that
It's there.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I don't see it.
It might be further
It's
down.
last.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't,
somewhere.
let me be clear. I don't see it in the graph.
No, it's not in the
Yeah,
graph.
because I only
That's
grabbed one scenario for the graph.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Otherwise it is there. You are correct. I was speaking to the graph.
Yep. Yeah, so that was just an example of what for each scenario, how you'd like potentially. And I don't know if we even want to put that in RFP, but I thought for the purpose of our discussion, if it would help us to figure out if we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Mark.
No,
One comment on that is just thinking about, we mentioned the different broad categories of different uses. We have office, meeting space. Those are somewhat similar. Artist workspace. I assume the distinction here is like, an educational classroom or a meeting space or an office would kind of like all be grouped into one, just a room that could be used. And then artist workspace, I guess I'm just trying to understand, is that kind of a more active kind of like a shop type of scenario where, are we talking painting versus, woodworking versus boat building? Do we need to do more of a distinction between just kind of rooms to use versus, workshop space?
Yeah, so for example, you might need sinks in an artist workspace or, some.
I'm okay with as is. I was just kind of putting it out there for the group.
Yeah. No, John, I thought about doing educational as a use. And what I should do is go back. I'm going to go back and look at Mass DEP, Department of Environmental Protection's Title V, because they have these large, broad use categories, and they ascribe like water flows to each one. So they assume certain things are taking place. So office may be different from meeting space in Title V. I don't know, but I will, I'll go back and look at that with a thought to those categories. But, educational classroom might be a good, I thought about that too. That might be a good one to add or replace with something else. All right, so then we're on to deliverables.
did we, anywhere in here, we had talked about maintenance costs?
That's the one thing I didn't bake in here, Mark, yet. And what I've missed in this draft, and I thought about it after I sent it out was the Habib report had a nice like short-term, midterm, and long-term recommendations. So the short term were like, you know, securing the building. Like the first thing they had was like, take care of the roof leaks, for example, assuming you're going to keep the building and reuse it. So I think doing a short, mid, and long term, and then putting security in the short term. That's the way I thought about it, but I'm totally open. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and I actually had that partly in mind, but more of kind of what is probably better described not as maintenance, but operating expenses in the broadest sense of the word: heating, air
Okay.
conditioning, lighting, landscaping,
Yeah.
you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah. And they can estimate that. So it's a heating, lighting, security, landscaping. Okay. Everybody
freedom.
jump in, please. I don't mean to like dominate.
No, it's we're relying on you. We don't mean to impose upon you, but it's your document, and it's a very good start. Just my only other comment on maintenance is just FYI, Freedom Hall is about $28,000 a year maintenance.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let's
All
keep.
right. So that's Freedom Hall. You know, David Anthony had given me some annual maintenance figures from both when the school was active and when it wasn't, so I can dig that out too.
Oh,
All right.
that's just for our discussion too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's included?
Yeah. So hang on. I need to write everything down because I will forget. Maintenance costs, active and non-active. Okay. All right, where are we? Task 2 deliverables. Can we go down to thank you. So impact analysis under each scenario, floor and site plans and visual aids to support public engagement following the study conclusion, and produce public presentation material. So this kind of wraps up the engineering portion of it, if you will, and tees us up for the consultant to do that public meeting at the end of the process. So that's that. Task 3, unless anybody wants to stop me. So I put this in following up on David Cherbuck's comments at our last committee meeting, subcommittee meeting. And David Cherbuck expressed on behalf of the water commissioners their interest in looking at potential ways that the property could be used to increase water quality at the drinking water well. And several ideas came up. So I incorporated that into here. This broadens the scope a little bit from what's a typical like building site analysis, but I think it's really smart. It's forward looking. It recognizes that the drinking water well is right there. And it'll ensure that we get people on our consulting team who understand the benefits of things like pervious pavement and drought tolerant plantings and low impact development for stormwater. So I really like this section. If you all agree, I was going to share it with the water commissioners at their meeting on Wednesday night, but I look for your input on that.
I have mixed feelings about it, honestly. Clearly the best way to improve the water quality is to not have anything on that property at all, including parking, including any building.
Well, I will say there's going to be parking proximate and up gradient because of the town-owned property now. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well, again, you know, these are all recommendations, so if you want to recommend them, or, you know, the group can.
I really like that you added this in here because that the water commissioner came to our meeting to express concerns, not concerns, but to express it. And I personally don't have any problem with getting their input. They're the experts, so to speak. So I think it'd be great if you don't mind sharing it with them.
What time is their meeting on Wednesday? I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it. Anybody know?
I assume it's at 6, but I don't know for sure.
It's at 5:45.
There you go. Well, again, you know, I think they can advocate on their own behalf as well with you. So there's that.
And their
Yeah.
meeting is a hybrid meeting, so Zoom or in person.
Mhm. And then for a
I really-
deliverable for that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, I really like that section. I think it's forward thinking. I think it also, you know, just talking to the water commissioners about the well and implementing some of their preventative or, you know, any sort of kind of things they want to push forward. I think it's forward looking. I think I support it.
Okay, let's keep going.
All right. So then just identifying potential opportunities as a deliverable. The task for hazardous material remediation, we know that needs to be done. So estimate the cost of remediating or removing and properly disposing, known asbestos, in the context of each scenario. So, and I think that's important. My understanding is there's a, beneath the original like classroom or the larger classrooms proper, there might be some soil that could be compromised, but under the gym and kitchen, that's not the case. So I think we need to understand the hazmat consequences of each of the scenarios that we put forward individually.
Yeah.
Is my understanding.
My comment on this
Okay.
section is I would certainly want to drop known asbestos and
Okay.
basically leave it open-ended.
Yep, that makes
know,
sense.
I know that mold and asbestos are bad things, but there may be other things out there. We should keep this as broad as possible.
Yep.
Not just asbestos, but any hazardous materials or conditions.
Okay, got it.
And just for background for the group, there's a lot of asbestos in the building. Some of it is in tiles, which is a low issue. Some of it is in ceiling acoustical tiles, which is kind of a medium issue. And then there's friable asbestos in the basement. Friable means like crushable, you know, which is a serious issue. But again, let's keep this not limited to asbestos and keep it as broad as possible. What's the hazardous material or hazardous condition remediation?
Got it. Okay. And then task 5, presentation of findings and recommendations, again, from the Warren article, just to present findings, recommendations at a public meeting. And then I added to required for all tasks. It's kind of a catch-all. This might not be the right place for it, but the consultants will provide the district with deliverables in draft form for district review and comment prior to finalization. In my experience, that's really important. You want to have a say in what that final report looks like. And how do I put this? There may be some political sensibilities that you are aware of that the consultant is not, that that might, or even history of the building or the site or the village. that might warrant potential changes to the drafts that they're working on, and you want ultimately a report that you're proud and happy to share at the end of the day. So I think that's important as well. And then I took a stab at the evaluation criteria, which is always an interesting thing to do. I think some of my evaluation criteria should probably be separated out more, but I think I broadly covered like what needs to get covered, but I'm absolutely open to, as usual, more input.
Lisa,
Do you want
can
me
you
to go?
scroll down through the evaluation criteria, just so we.
We're on it.
Yeah, I know. I said
All
through.
right, so number one is,
Wait a minute, where do you want me to go?
I'll walk through them if that might be easier. So the quality of the narrative, response to the scope, tasks, and deliverables in the timeline. And then number two, let's keep going, Lisa, please. Technical expertise. Oops, there you go. Recent relevant experience with engineering, architectural, and environmental evaluation. So they've done it before. They've done it in the recent past, and they've done it for this type of building. So it's not just any building, it's a public school building of this era. That would be the most advantageous experience. And then it steps down from there. So number three, knowledge of mass law and regulations about codes and hazmat remediation and contracting. Those should probably be separated out. So that knowledge of mass laws is one, and recent relevant experience in hazmat is another separate criteria. And then four is a water quality technical expertise that we just kind of walked through. That's a whole different set of skills. And is that it? Yeah, I guess it is. All right. So that's as far as I got.
Okay.
You did this in a week. I think this is absolutely, so thank you for doing all this in 6 days.
So it's my pleasure. I think it's gonna. You just got it today. I encourage y'all to read it when you actually have some time and space to think through it. And I think we could have a more productive discussion at our next meeting about detailed changes. And in the meantime, I can make the changes that we talked about tonight.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I echo Carol with the kudos for putting this together. It is appreciated by all the committee members, I'm sure. And I'm happy to have another meeting. I think it is worthwhile. We got this fairly recently. We've all had a chance to read it, but perhaps not completely digest it. So let's plan on having another one and another meeting. And see if we can't get this to a place where we're happy with it or almost completely happy with it, and go from there.
I would ask that we meet in person to do this. It will be.
Same.
I think that's fine.
I can't meet in person next Monday. I will be in California.
Can we do both as hybrid?
I will check.
That would be really, I think it's important. And I think Stevens may not also be here as well. So it'd be really wonderful to have both Pat and Stephen here remotely.
If nothing else, we can FaceTime them in.
Mark, I'm not available to meet in person at Freedom Hall to host your Zoom meeting, but if you can find another way to do that, that's great.
Okay.
Maybe can Jen Smith maybe help us out, or?
Jen Nash, you mean?
I'm sorry, Jen Nash.
Possibly, or as Carol says, worst comes to worst, we'll FaceTime it.
Okay. Well, that's not publicly, is it? Well, I don't know, accessible. I guess As long as the video is, I mean, the audio.
Exactly, which has turned out, if anyone has listened to the audio, that they've been pretty good. Actually, they've been very good. Okay, any public comment at this point?
I don't see any hands raised or public comment, but I do, just not as a public person, but as someone who heard you approve minutes. I just want to say you've just approved minutes that I've never received. So if you could send me the approved minutes from the 8th and the 15th, I would be able to post them on the website, but I can't post them until I receive them.
Yes, and they were just approved at this meeting, Lisa, which is why you have not received them.
Okay,
Now that they're approved, I will send them to you.
awesome. Thanks.
Great. Okay, thank you all. We look for another meeting notice for next Monday, barring some unforeseen circumstances.
Oh, wait. There was one hand raised that I didn't see. Fran has her hand raised.
Okay,
You need to unmute yourself.
Unmute, Fran. She's working on it. There you go.
I just wanted to inform the committee that the water department checks the water of every pump station that they have once a month. They send it off to a lab to check, so you probably don't need those elaborate water department water concerns in this because it's already being done.
okay. Anybody else? Failing
That's
that, meeting or a request or a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank